you have Mars in the 12th house. And I've read only negative things about Mars in the 12th house, but it's not true. It has a lot of positive sides as well. So we'll go through both, I'll walk you through both, and I'll give you some practical advice how to use this Mars in the 12th house to the best ability to tap into its blessings, So Mars is where we're very active. Mars is where we put a lot of energy and where we can have breakthrough just because of the use of sheer willpower. And even disciplining. Mars is a planet where we're much more willing to self-discipline ourselves like a soldier, because Mars symbolizes the soldier and soldier-like attitudes in our life. And somewhere where we can be like very dogged and, till we break through there. And the 12th house, though, is a house that we know in astrology is kind of a bit invisible, behind the scenes. So that's why it has bad rap, that those people kind of are acting behind the scenes, that they do kind of dodgy things because Mars is action, so that they're not direct, that they'll go behind your back and do something, which in some in more negative cases, it can happen. This is the law of manifestation. But it's not only that it happens that the person does it, it also happens to them that other act in their life in a more subversive way behind the scenes, and that they might have also hidden enemies. These are some of the negative influences, hidden enemies that strike behind their back. And this happened exactly. So funny, because the moment Mars entered my 12th house, someone that I'd forgotten about went and started attacking me, not directly to me, but went to other astrologers and started talking about me and gossip, gossip and such kind of snide attacks behind one's back from hidden enemies can often be part of what person with Mars in the 12th house will experience in this lifetime. They're here to learn about that, to learn that they're people that act behind the scenes. And the thing is that they carry this energy themselves. So they might be inclined themselves to use such subversive tactics to attack rather than direct ones, which is nothing bad, That's why I've called that video the Guerrilla Warriors. Che Guevara had Mars in the 12th house, and he created guerrilla warriorship. He was one of the, he was known as a guerrilla. What is that? This is like not exactly direct confrontation, because you don't feel equal to the enemy, but you're using subversive tactics like espionage or researching the enemy, observing them for a while, hit and run tactics, ambushing. So it's not direct, but it's more almost like imaginative and creative warriorships. And this is how people with Mars in the 12th house should act in life. And usually this is how they win their battles, not through direct confrontation, which is face to face. Someone with Mars in the first house will do that. Bam, I don't like you. Let's go out and fight on the street, We'll call them out and call out their bullshit. Mars in the 12th will be, indirect. And I don't know, because they can be indirect, winning a war indirectly in a gentle way, which is commendable, but there is also dirty ways you can win a war indirectly. So it's up to you and your level of consciousness, which actions you choose, whether the dirty ones through gossips, through underhanded back dealings and stuff like that, or you're going to do it in a more spiritual way, that you're going to win a battle, maybe through long research, through more patient analysis, because 12th house is about research and analyzing and strategizing behind the scenes, and subtle approach rather than directly, attacking your, competitors or someone that's attacking you, using more subtle matters. And that, you know what those are. I cannot give you ideas for that, but this is what guerrilla warfare is basically behind. And also, this position is known for people that actually pull the strings behind the scene, because Mars is action and they have a lot of vigor to put in activities like espionage or research or something to do behind the scenes. And a lot of actually people that are directors, or that in some way put a lot of energy and action in developing something behind the scenes, have Mars in the 12th house. In many imaginative careers, this is seen. Many actors and directors have it. And people that are in industries that are that reflect the collective subconscious. We'll talk about that. because the 12th house, first of all, is the house that connects the visible and the invisible world. This is where we go to tap into the 99% of invisible energy that's behind that veil. We're here in the material world is 1%, but all the inspiration in the world that comes to us, all the new ideas, they come from the realms of the astral or the imaginative world. They're not imaginary, they're more real than this world, but we access them through the imagination, through the sleep world, through the intuition, which are all the 12th house. And the 12th house also rules meditation and tapping and those practices that allow us to tap into those other invisible worlds, and intuition. So people that are very with Mars there, they kind of have almost like they carve their way into those invisible worlds of the imaginary, of the imagination, of the astral, because their subconscious is so active, because their imagination, the 12th house, is so active, because their soul activities, the 12th house, is so active, that they have access to those invisible realms, whether through their dreams, whether through intuition, whether through just imaginative reflection of some sort, or spending long times isolated and alone, where you start tapping, they say losing it, but you start tapping, basically spending a lot of time behind scenes, and alone. And this is when you have access to those invisible worlds. So with Mars, they kind of almost aggressively go and get it. And material and Mars is a planet that wants to act and do things. So a lot of, as I said, a lot of directors behind the scene, also a lot of creative people like painters and artists, they need to spend long times and be okay and put a lot of energy, a long times alone behind the scenes in some kind of isolation, which is again the 12th house. 12th house rules artistic studio, creative studios, places where you go to do research, where you go to do meditation, where you go to sleep, bedrooms, libraries, artistic studios. So Pablo Picasso has Mars in the 12th house. So many amazing artists that are very imaginative and that were highly, because Mars is very productive on the imaginative level, and they have Mars in the 12th house. David Bowie has Mars in the 12th house as well, and he was very prolific creator, tapping into the imaginative world with this Mars, energetic Mars. We have a lot of other actors as well with Mars in the 12th house, because the 12th house is the imaginary world, and Mars is action, and actually a lot of action film stars have Mars in the 12th house, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, imaginary fighting, 12th house. And it doesn't mean he's not strong in real life. He can be very strong. You see us from him, from Arnold Schwarzenegger, how tough he is, but at the same time, and Osama bin Laden, another. He used the negative guerrilla tactics to hit and run and subterfuge and, to carve its way into other organizations to implant people there, which you see secretive action in the case of Osama bin Laden and Che Guevara. Such people, these are the tactics through which they succeed, Mars in the 12th house. We have another story, I digressed here, but Vin Diesel and Arnold Schwarzenegger, some of the biggest stars of action in the film industry, have Mars in the 12th house. So they act out the collective subconscious is the 12th house, where the archetypes come from those 99% invisible world, the archetypes and the collective, ideals of humanity are gathered, like psychological archetypes. And that's why 12th house is so much connected to actors and people that symbolize or synthesize the collective subconscious. And in the case of Mars in the 12th house, these people kind of are like mirrors, and they reflect back and they act out through this Mars the masculine imagery of Mars, of the collective subconscious of humans. So they can become like idols in some sort through Mars. They can become idolized, and through film industry, make believe. 12th house, 12th house can be higher realities, but also make believe realities and imaginative world. So Mars acts it there. It's very actively involved in some creative imaginary process, like I gave you example with those actors. And other creative people often, I know Britney Spears as well, Heath Ledger, but I wrote those two down as Heath Ledger and Britney Spears is another example of Mars in the 12th, with a little bit less positive, a bit more negative example of Mars in the 12th is their proclivity to self-sabotage, because 12th house is the house of self-undoing. Especially Mars is connected with the physical body. Mars is blood, guts, muscles, the physical manifestation. And when it's in the 12th house, 12th house is the invisible world, so dissolution or losses or dissolving. So there is this dissolution and almost like self-destructive tendencies that can appear when Mars is in the 12th house towards the body, because 12th house is dissolving, eroding something. The 12th house is the physical body through escapist behaviors. That's a negative manifestation of the 12th house, because there are healthier ways to do that. You can do it through playing computer games, through immersing yourself in some kind of active pursuit of spiritual activities, by some kind of active pursuit of imaginary creative activities. This is how you escape reality in a healthy way. But there are other ways that are less healthy in the 12th house, like addictions and stuff like that. And Heath Ledger and Britney Spears had this kind of spiral and kind of almost like destruction of the physical body for a while, and the social image. But Mars is more connected to the physical body, so they tend to have. But you see, the other people that I mentioned, they don't have those tendencies. At least they're not so, they express them in a different way. So you don't have to be thinking that's it, I'm forever doomed to addictive tendencies or self-destruct mode. But this is something that to be aware of, and if you have a child with this, to channel its energy in something more creative, in something. And it's still never a guarantee. Those people also actors, singers, they're creative, but they got, for a little bit at least, they got into this kind of a spiral of self-destruction and subversive action somehow. Another thing for the 12th house is that this is the house of sleep. So on the material level, it can manifest like restless sleepers, because the 12th house is where you have to be peaceful and peace and sleep and meditation as well. But where you have to be peaceful and the bedroom, But with Mars there's lots of action in the bedroom. These people can have a very healthy sex life behind the scenes, because 12th house is the bedroom activities, and Mars there is a very highly sexualized planet, yes. But when it comes to sleeping, they might have insomnia, restless muscles at night, not all the time, but for certain periods. Or they just, when they sleep, they dream all the time, super actively, very active dream life, sleep life. And you know what these people tend to dream of? They can dream of the things that piss them off during the day, and because Mars in the 12th house will not express it directly. Remember, Mars in the 12th is more hidden. The 12th house is hidden actions. So if someone pisses them off often, they would stifle it down. There might be some even passive aggressive behaviors, and they'll store it in the subconscious, and then at night they'll be like fighting it out and winning battles and competing with people that upset them emotionally or psychologically or whatever. And they can even have aggressive dreams. I've had a few times remembering when Mars transit my 12th house, and I'm just fighting it off with dogs and people I don't like in my dreams. Aggressive murderous dreams even sometimes, or dreaming about winning competitions and stuff like that. And it's crazy. I just had a 3-hour sleep now, because I couldn't sleep during the night, Mars in the 12th house transit, and I had a dream where I was fighting with someone. So funny that this reflects, even in a transit, how it happens for people that are born like that. But the 12th house is also the meditation. So these people might feel quite restless to just sit and meditate, to do some kind of a still spiritual, because 12th house is connecting to the higher worlds. These people want to do it. They have the desire. Mars is the lust, is desire to often to follow spiritual activities and to connect to higher realities, especially the more evolved people. The lower ones, they'll manifest it by, how do I say, criminal activities, behind the scene things, smuggling. In worst case scenario, we're talking, these are the worst case scenario with the worst aspects, and very few souls are at that level. But even if it doesn't mean you're low. So if you have a period of your life and you have Mars in the 12th house where you get involved in something dodgy behind the scenes, because you're here to experience those things. Your soul wants to experience them, but remember, the higher manifestations is connecting to basically to the higher realities, and you have you can manifest it if you have Mars in the 12th sign. So, a lot of times people might even, turn to actively pursue some meditative practice or some spiritual practice, but they're not happy to do something that just sits still. It's not going to work for them. Mars will make them restless in the space of the sanctuary and the meditation, which is the 12th house. They do it best by some active meditation. Might be Kriya. What is that? Kundalini yoga, or just go for a walk. For them, going for a walk or doing some sport or doing some swimming. 12th house also symbolizes the ocean and waters, and Mars's activity. This can be like almost like a spiritual practice for them, cleansing practice that also helps them release some of this bottled anger. Remember that Mars is anger, and often when it's in the 12th house, we bottle it or make it passive aggressive, and because that's the reason why people can have self-harming tendencies with Mars in the 12th house, self-undoing tendency that can undermine the body and the health because of this suppressed anger, often stemming from past lifetimes. We'll speak about the past lifetimes because 12th house also represents past lifetimes. But as I said, when it comes to spiritual practices, something a bit more vigorous, something a bit more active, maybe even travel, because 12th house is connected to foreign countries that can feel, these people have a lot of energy to travel. We'll speak about that as well. So active spiritual practices, meditations in their dreams, and sometimes it's good that your conflicts in life don't play out outside, but can play out in the imaginative world. And if Mars has good aspects, all is good. If it has bad aspects, though, be careful from secret enemies. Be careful that your actions and criminal and any illegal activities. If Mars have more difficult aspects than positive, 12th house, the house of yes, you're inclined to do those secretive activities, but with the difficult aspects of Mars, you can get found out, or you can even get locked up away. Because 12th house rules prisons, hospitals, you can put yourself in hospital, and any kind of places of confinement. So they can steal your movement, so you can think about your actions, basically. So be careful. Mars with difficult aspects don't do in the 12th house illegal activities. No one should do illegal activities, whatever it is, Even the good aspects. Yes, the good aspects, they might not get found out for a long time. But again, it's creating karma there, and you will have a lot of secret enemies as well, and you have to watch your back all the time, because the more secretive you are with Mars in the 12th house in a negative way, trying to do something illegal to undermine others, the more it's reflected to you through the universe by attracting yourself secret enemies and others trying to sabotage you behind the back and stab you in the back. But everyone with Mars in the 12th house should watch their back without becoming paranoid, because the 12th house is the house of paranoias as well. Fears, subconscious fears and worries. And with Mars there, we might start thinking that everyone is out to get us. Everyone is our secret enemies. Everyone has kind of harmful Mars, motivation behind them. So try not to take this to a big extent, But you will experience those 12th house activities as well. So if you go, for example, at a legal battle with someone, you have to be prepared that having Mars in the 12th house, especially if it has very difficult aspects, those people will be willing to use subversive methods to extract information in correct way or illegal way, or to kind of give you a hit behind the back and stuff like that. But also, this is your strength. You can use such things, but on a higher level. Again, I repeat, higher level is do your research and maybe do some spiritual praying for these people as well, some spiritual work of some sort. But anyway, going back to Mars being also in the 12th houses, those constricted spaces, so like hospitals and prisons, we don't want that. There is a way to avoid it, of course, and it's all consequence of one's actions. It doesn't mean Mars in the 12th, you'll go to prison no matter what. Not at all. Very few people of that go. They might go in some kind of a self-imposed prison or area that's isolated. If you do it consciously, the universe does not impose it on you. What are the healthier 12th house environments that you actively and consciously go towards to pursue activities there to be active. As I said, creative studio, imaginary world. As I said, a lot of people in creative careers, so people that spend a lot of time maybe as computer graphic designers, that they have to be locked away in a room with their imagination, they put a lot of energy in it. Or that someone who works in a hospital, many people that in many medical profession will have strong 12th house, because hospitals are enclosed environments, they're world in their own self. And with Mars there, they can have a lot of physical vigor to participate, to be in hospital environments, as whatever hospital staff they are. They can even be prison guards, Mars in the 12th house can be seen. They can be people that work in hotels and retreats and spas, any place that is a retreat away, like a world away from the world. And 12th house rules hotels and places people go to sleep, dormitories. So Mars is connected naturally to one's career, because we put a lot of energy in one's career, and we can be very competitive. And whatever Mars is, we can be competitive and achieve kind of have high ambitions there. So such people with Mars in the 12th house can have high ambitions and be competitive. The creative imaginary world, hospitals, places, hospitals, prisons, the hotel industries, the industries of graphic design, for example, the industries of planning behind the scenes strategies of some sort. As I said, acting and all those things, that we've been talking about till now, or faraway countries. Such people can have big breakthroughs. In faraway countries, 12th house is places that are far away from where you were born. So if you find yourself lacking ambition and drive, and whatever you're trying goes wasted, try to do physically and try to exert your efforts into, and it gets wasted physically, because Mars can be dissolved. Your efforts and energy and willpower that you put in something, you might feel that it's out of your control in the 12th house, that it gets dissolved, that it doesn't give strong results, or at least not tangible, visible results. What do you do then? How do you motivate yourself? How do you have this breakthrough and this ambition that Mars usually other people have easier access to? Because Mars is breakthroughs. And even career success, Well, go to a foreign country, place far away from where you are. Maybe go to work in a hotel, in an island somewhere. Maybe go to work in some holiday industry far away. Go to work in some creative industry if you cannot relocate far away. Or in psychology and research, fantastic place for research. People, because Mars digs deep. Mars puts dynamic energy. Mars is tireless and is very disciplined. And plows through till it has a breakthrough, till it bears a whole, basically, till it has a breakthrough. And 12 houses, again, it's like libraries and deep research and deep intuitive knowledge. So when it's almost like person with Mars in the 12th can stay a lot in their head, in the imagination, imagining maybe you scientists trying to develop a theory or trying to see how the atoms, something, whatever, I'm not a scientist. Or if you're an astrologer, the occult, 12 houses connected to spiritual practices, astrology practices, a deep astrology insights, intuitive insights. So someone who is a lot focused in the imagination and the intuitive brain, stay a lot within their own head and the inner world, and they suddenly have deep breakthroughs there. So they can have breakthroughs in research and science of some sort, great position for people working in those areas. Or if you're an astrologer, if you're a psychologist and psychiatrist, because you're trying to get in the subconscious of others. And Mars there can do it in subtle ways and can infiltrate and go undercover, or how do I say, you can really infiltrate yourself, almost like a surgical instrument like Mars, and see in the subconscious of a person and what drives them. This is how you can use Mars in the 12th house for good, rather than infiltrating others and creating problems for them in their lives and attacking them subversively. This is the negative way you can do, but the positive way is to help others by those abilities to penetrate in the invisible realms with Mars, to penetrate to the bottom of someone's soul, to the subconscious. And even they can be great, because Mars, as I said, can be healing planet with breakthrough and even sudden shocks that sometimes psychologists need to implement to help their patient. So even film director, he wants to implement some agenda. He wants to impact the subconscious of people, touch their hearts, their soul in some way. So he puts energy Mars into this to do it in a subtle, indirect way through imaginative topic or theme of movie or something like that. So that's a good way you can use Mars. Good careers, and as I said, international careers can be very energized, something to do with traveling or something to do with in companies in other countries. And if you don't have the drive where you're born, move away, with Mars in the 12th house, to another place. Move away to a place that Mars will become not in the 12th house, and then you can get much more ambitious and energized in those foreign places, basically. Or if you want to if you don't have Mars in the 12th house, but you need to be able to spend more time alone working on something behind the scenes, something creative, something more inspirational, then move to a place where Mars is in the 12th house. So you'll be much more willing to spend that time away. Okay, what else? 12th house is past lifetimes. Any planet in the 12th house, you kind of carry very close to the surface memories from that past lifetime. And this past lifetime is directly or parallel lives. Sometimes it's a life that's happening, part of your soul is at the same time incarnated somewhere else. But it's basically you're very strongly connected to such past lifetimes where there was Mars energy. You were a soldier, very likely in earlier past, like in very recent past lifetimes, or pioneers, people that explore new territories, someone that has breakthroughs, which is Mars. You were quite physical, quite athletic in some sort in the past lifetimes, and almost like you carry this energy into this lifetime. And as I said, you can have those violent dreams, and things like that. Or if Mars has a lot of difficult aspects, you might have some unresolved emotional anger issues from past lifetimes. Maybe you were hurt, you were a victim of some sort, you were attacked a lot, you might have been killed unfairly. Mars represents all those things. Mars is the planet that can kill you suddenly, not in this lifetime, but because it's in the 12th, maybe you were unfairly or violently killed in a past lifetime if there is, difficult aspects. So maybe there was a lot of strife and fighting in your past lifetime. Or if Mars has better aspects, it means that you were just some kind of a, warrior, competitor, winning lots of battles, and you carry this in your dream world, in your subconscious, but you might not have such easy access to it in this lifetime. So you might feel a bit frustrated because you feel like I have this Mars energy and I can't express it. And again, as I said, foreign countries help with the expression of that, or directing you towards spiritual and more creative purposes. Almost like this Mars in the 12th house says, you've done this, physical, direct, competitive thing. You've done this strife and hostilities in past lifetimes, direct face on. Now you have to, it's put in the 12th house where you don't have much access to it directly, this martial energy. So you can kind of contemplate more, and you can introvert those the feelings now of anger and competition are introverted. You play them out on the imaginative level, on the subconscious level, in the dream world, as I said, or in the creative world. So you've taken that experience from past lifetimes from anger, you transmute it, especially if there is like suppressed feelings of anger that kind of you burst occasionally, self-sabotage yourself with anger tempers, passive aggressive or self-harming even of some sort, or self-sabotaging not to be able to have achievements and breakthroughs and career successes, which Mars usually is the planet that gives us those things. So we introvert it, we put it within, and we're able to spiritualize that energy, let's say this way, to get to the more refined expressions of Mars, because Mars in the 12th house is super refined. It's spiritual access there. Its ultimate goal is to connect you and to direct your physical energy into connection with higher worlds, and into connection with deep spiritual or scientific understanding of some sort. So this is Mars refined to its highest level, if it's there, and hopefully not pulling you towards the subversive, espionage and underhanded maneuvers, which are the law manifestations or illegal dealings of some sort. And 12th house, so yes, such dreams, as I said, active meditations, you have can have phobias and fears about violence, war, mass calamities, all those violent things. They can have subconscious fears and war, and don't know why, because this is where we have phobias in the 12th house. They're always searching for hidden behaviors in others, but that's great if you're a psychologist or some analysis of, for example. It's a position that can lead to more psychic and physical exhaustion, because Mars is the physical energy in the 12th house. These people, because they have such active imagination or outer life, inner life, almost sometimes I've seen people in Mars in the 12th, they say that they go in their dreams and help others like this. So the helpers, they're much more active on the astral, and some of them remember their dreams. It's not dreams, they say it's physical, it's explorations of the astral body that goes and helps, and it's a kind of a guide during the night, so they wake up exhausted. Or you just fight your battles and you're super active on the imaginative or behind the scenes, some creative field, or in the sleeps, and then you don't have much energy during the day. And such people can be night owls, as I don't know if I said that, but because they're active at night, 12 hours when they should sleep, 12th house is also if some health problem appears, they're usually due to, especially some health problem that even takes you to hospital, devitalizes you, drains your energy a lot of some sort, or whatever it is. Very often with Mars in the 12th house might be due to suppressed anger. Try to find healthy ways of expressing it creatively, or whatever it is, through dream work, or try to find healthy ways of expressing it. It's suppressed anger from past lifetimes or earlier lifetime where you're not expressing it and you're bottling it up. The 6th house, the 12th house is the 6th house from the 7th. The 7th is your spouse, your marriage partner. And the 6th from it, which is the 12th in your horoscope, is the health of your partner. So we can say something here that your partner, especially first marriage partner, can be someone who can have some more stresses to their own health, especially Mars stresses like fever, temperatures, wounds of some sort, blood problems of some sort, or some kind of inflammatory illness, because Mars acts inflammatory, or very strong fire, pitta nature in the body, which is out of balance. And this is something just to mention. And on another level, Mars is sex. 12th house is fantasy in the world. So these people can have very vivid sexual fantasies. They can dream about sex as well, not only about fighting, but about sex as well. They can have erotic fantasies, very strong. And also they might be inclined to behind the scenes secret sex affairs. 12th house is hidden, Mars is sexual liaisons. And they're not so much even based on love and affection as on pure sexual not exploitation, but adventure, let's say. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know what happened with him and his nanny or something, that he even had a child behind the scenes with her. Subversive actions. And then we have, who is it? Jude Law. He has Mars in the 12th house. He also had an affair with his nanny. So kind of hidden, private, no-tell, motel sexual liaisons that can happen. But when you see someone with Mars in the 12th house, don't say, oh, you scum and you have sexual relationship. This person might be subliminating the Mars in the 12th house and be a great charity worker, hospital worker. Can be someone that puts a lot of energy in helping those in need. The 12th house is the most charitable house when expressed at the highest level. So Mars puts a lot of work there. So this can be some of the most spiritual. It can go from the low, depending on the level of consciousness of person, a very low manifestation or very high manifestation. And it can even have both, especially say if you have debilitated Mars, or very difficult aspect. At one part in your life, you might have been doing all those secret behind the scene things, or self-sabotaging yourself, feeling helpless, or even being a victim of some crime or violence in 12th house places like hospitals, dormitories, in victim of violence in a foreign country, for example. Or you might be, you might have felt quite victimized by powers larger than you, or might have been criminal yourself and done some smuggling, some under the thing and behind the scene activities, and then you redeem yourself in later life and you start actually going to AA and helping others in need, and or just redeeming yourself by doing a lot of charity work and creating, subliminating those impulses of Mars in the 12th house for higher manifestation. So yeah, so also, as I said, not direct competition or confrontation. Does better when approaching the enemy or competitors, but by subterfuge, espionage, long campaign of research behind the scenes. So I think we, so mention almost everything. They can pursue vigorously all 12 house activities, which is channeling, research, spiritual exercises like yoga, active meditation, foreign adventures. As I said, the energy is super abundant in foreign places, exploration, discovery in science laboratories, private therapy, sanctuaries, ashrams. Careers in spiritual and imaginary pursuits. If someone, even I remember, was someone who was Mars in the 12th house, was so literal. They worked long hours away, locked up. As a graphic designer, the imaginative field, doing games of fight, programming fighting games, Mars. So acting out the Mars in imaginative higher manifestations rather than raw physical ones. So thank you so much. You see, if you want to learn astrology with me, check out my courses at astrolada.com. I do a lot of classes, and hopefully you like my style of teaching, and we can go deep into astrology together. Check them out, and even write to me, because I always have some discount going on. If you write to me and if you ask me personally, I can offer certain things. So thank you so much, and we'll see you soon with another installment. I'm going to start doing some interesting classes, like for free on the YouTube, some videos that, for example, indicating different careers or different, so we can learn astrology a bit more complex. So thank you so much. I love you. And do the spiritual work. You're spiritual warriors. Focus there, guys, with Mars in the 12th.